Justin will help you
Jeremy
out.
Hunter's just sat in is what you're
And
about
the thing
to
is,
say.
when I saw him there, I just said, "You've got a hell of a job, the best of luck." And what I really wanted to say, "Fuck you."
Oh, no, you mustn't
bastard,
say that.
But you can't say that.
Yes, no, you can't say that.
Not
You've got.
fair.
We'll have to have you out of the studio now.
Yes,
we'll have to have you
we
out
will
of the studio.
with many apologies. The time now is 8:30.
Kingdom. Miriam is the recipient of countless awards for her service to drama, including an Order of the British Empire in 2002. We've seen her on stage with her one-woman shows and other great theatre productions. She's provided voiceover for many films and shows, including being the voice of Fly in Babe. Miriam may be best known recently amongst her younger fans for her role in the famous Harry Potter movies, and for those of us who enjoy a good old murder mystery, you can see Miriam as Aunt Prudence in the Australian series Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries. One role Miriam has played that you might not be as familiar with is the role she played in her personal life as an unpaid carer for her mother. So Miriam, would you like to tell us a little bit about your role as an unpaid carer?
My role as a carer was both the best of times and the worst of times, because I didn't know how to do it. I learnt on the job, which is what all carers have to do. And I was caring for my mother, who was really the most loved person in my life at that time. And her stroke came so suddenly. There was no warning. There was just devastation. And we had to pick ourselves up and deal with it. And I think it made me into a better person. But it was a very hard time of my life.
It's a very powerful story, and one that is we so often hear from carers, is that it's a rich and rewarding experience, but it's an incredibly difficult and often very painful experience. If you could say one thing to the carers of Australia, what would it be?
Well, there's only one word I can say, which is thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being prepared to give up so much of your life and taking responsibility, which in many ways I feel should be more widely shared. But they are wonderful people, and there's a frightening number of them, and it's going to get more and more. But I can just only say thank you.
That's wonderful. And in Australia, there are 2.7 million carers. That's 1 in 8 Australians. In my lifetime, we're pretty sure that will change significantly, because as a baby boomer, we know that we're ageing. So we know that in our lifetimes, each of us is likely to either be or need a carer. Is there something you would say to Australians generally about carers?
To become a carer, there's no training. And it happens suddenly. And so I would say to all Australians, it could be you. It could happen to you. And you know what? It probably will. So take note of the people around you who are carers. Be loving and kind and admiring of them and grateful. And let's hope it doesn't happen to you. But if it does, you have to be prepared. And thank goodness for organisations like Carers Australia that can be a support, because what people face when they're carers is often really hideous. And it's someone you love in trouble, and of course you want to help them. Of course you want to do everything you can. And carers do. They're giving up their lives. They're giving their strength. And all Australians just look up, see what's going on, and fight for more care for carers.
One of the big things we're working on here in Australia is how we combine work and care. If we take all of the carers out of the workforce, particularly as we age, we will suddenly find ourselves with nobody in the workforce and many people requiring income support from government. So we're working really hard on how employers support people to stay in work and how we assist carers not to lose their skill base, to be able to keep working. We know you've balanced an extraordinary career, probably having to be in many places at many times, and still were able to play a role as a carer supporting your father. How difficult is that?
Caring is a balancing act. And for me then, I was much younger. And what I did was I gave one day a week, which was Sunday, which was the day I wasn't working. So I did all the shopping in London, and then I brought it back to my parents who were living in Oxford. And I used to wash my mother because she wouldn't let anyone else wash her. And although at that time, and this was in the 60s, there really wasn't the acknowledgement of the need for carers and care. We did have an occasional visit from a nurse, but it was nothing like what was needed. And so it was hard. But, you know, when you love someone, you want to do what you can for them. And I did. And my father was the person who bore the brunt of it because he was there really 24/7. And to see his partner, his life partner, so curtailed, not able to speak or move, it was terrible for him. And so I was very glad after my mother had died and Daddy came to live with me, I was able to take care of him at home. And that meant a great deal to me. So I can hold my head up high and say, I did what I should have done and I did it correctly. But then you see, I had money. What happens to people who don't have any money, who can't afford for extra help to come in to clean and so on? Then it's really tough. And my hat goes off to them because it's wearing, it wears you down. And I think there should be an acknowledgement of what they are saving the nation by doing it themselves.
So people will be astounded to go, Miriam Margolyes, she's a carer. So what is it like to be you, to be so well known and to also be a carer?
Sometimes people don't expect that somebody who's in the public eye in show business like I am, who's been in Hollywood films, would be a carer. But you see, that's the point. This sort of thing can come out of the blue. You don't know when it can happen. And you don't know how you're going to face up to the situation. Now, when it happened to me, I wasn't well off when my mother got ill. I had to do all the things that are required. When I was older and I was looking after my father, then I had some help. I could afford to pay for it. I could afford to keep him at home. But still, the wellspring of love that you feel, that comes from inside, and it doesn't matter what you do or who you are. If you feel that love, you've got to be prepared to scrub the floors and empty the chamber pots and do all the stuff that you don't want to think about. And it doesn't matter who you are, because illness can strike anyone at any time. We're all going to die. And carers help that journey towards the end to be dignified and safe. And that's what I did for my parents, and I'm so proud of it.
That's wonderful. I think there's something very special in being able to say, I did it and I'm proud of it. And I think for many carers, our carers often feel like we're not doing it well enough. We're falling short in some way. The days when we're impatient, the days that are tough. Sometimes carers feel like, oh, I could have done this a little bit better. But we know that carers are doing their best every day to give people dignity and respect and to give people what they deserve. So it's a wonderful story to hear. We know anyone, anytime, can become a carer.
When it happens to you, and it happened to me, I thought, for the rest of my life, I've got to be aware that people are going through hell. And that's why I wanted to be involved with the caring associations, both in England and here in Australia. Now I'm an Australian. I want to go out and I want to meet carers. I want to talk to them. I want to give them courage. I want to be an auntie. I want to embrace them. I want them to know that I care for them too. And that's the best thing I can do as a let me say, well-known person. I'm not a star, but I'm nearly a star. But when I go into a room full of carers, they're the stars.
You know, you're not just a star because you are an extraordinary star in the eyes, the eyes of the Australian public and certainly the international public. You're a star because of your extraordinary work across the stage, across film, across television.
Thank you very much.
But you are a star in terms of being a carer and being able to speak about caring, because we know that that's very personal. We know that that's something that can also raise any number of emotions. That is something we want to celebrate.
Oh, look, when I go into a room full of carers, I'm one of them. I was there. I know what they're going through. And I think that's useful for when they meet me. They know that somebody like me knows what they're going through. Salute to them.
Thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of not just Carers Australia, but Australia's 2.7 million carers. We're incredibly delighted to have had time with you and to hear your appreciation of our carers. To hear it in your words is very, very special to us.